Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nara, and here we're discussing astrology, spirituality, psychology, manifestations, and how to utilize astrological placements so that they can benefit your life and you can use the qualities of the signs or the planetary energies in the areas, the houses where they're placed, so that you can reap the most benefits out of your particular area of your life, right? So, this video is going to be about Saturn in the sixth house. So, first of all, if you do not know where your Saturn is placed, and I was one of those a few years ago, then I highly recommend you go ahead and check out astro.com if you already haven't. And you do need your time of birth, you do need your place of birth, obviously know where you were born, right? The time of birth, the date of birth, and you'll be able to calculate your planetary placements. And also, you can save on the website so that you can refer back to it anytime you wish. You also are able to get the free horoscopes. They're not full, but they do contain sufficient amount of information on astro.com that will help you to get started and understand yourself better and start the process of self-discovery. Before I get into the video, I do want to mention that I launched an astrology newsletter, so I will link it down below because you guys, I do update you twice a week on planetary energies, the ones I feel the most prominent about and I want to talk about and I want to warn you. And I also share my tips on how I personally use um, these planetary energies and so that you can use them as well. But yeah, if you happen to have Saturn in the sixth house, then let's dive in. So, what is sixth house? Let's start with the sixth house. We'll get to the planet and we'll see what it means for you. So, first of all, Saturn is a disciplinarian and it's a malefic planet, that's one, and it's a karmic planet. So, wherever it's placed and in whatever sign shows us your karma in this particular lifetime and in what area you're paying that karma. So for people, karma, the way they interpret it is a lot of the times not the correct interpretation, not the right one, because karma is not something bad. Karma is just the area of your life or a part of yourself, an aspect of yourself that you need to become disciplined about, that you need to recognize and discipline a certain part of yourself, certain area, well, to control, to create that um, clarity, that success in whatever area. We do need to form a discipline in some way or another, right? So that's Saturn. Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn, Earth, right? And it belongs to the 10th house. So having Saturn in the 6th house is, in one way, it's positive. It's a positive influence because the 6th house belongs to Virgo and 6th house is actually so the fact that both are earth element is a good influence. However, looking at the zodiac sign where your Saturn is in is going to add even more qualities and more characteristics, and we'll see if you're able to handle that earth house. If it's a water sign, which I have, Pisces in the 6th, then it becomes difficult to handle the earth house, the house of material possessions, the house of material world of form, employers, job, work, where you work, your coworkers. It's your routine, it's your health, how you eat, your diet, your routine schedule, the daily mundane things that you keep doing every day, day after day, and depending on whether a routine is supportive or not, we can determine a success of an individual and also an individual's makeup, psychological. It all shows up by the way a person lives, by the way a person handles their day-to-day life, right? Saturn is a disciplinarian. It's actually it's karmic. It's one of the planets that needs the most work, and the house position and the zodiac and all of that stuff that I mentioned. It requires the most work and it requires a lot of understanding. Okay, and sixth house, like I said, it's health. And in this case, a bad routine is going to lead you to health conditions. And this is exactly what this placement shows us. And if you have this placement, I mean, actually, not even Saturn, if you have any water sign or water house in bad, I mean, bad, by bad, I mean difficult aspects such as 180 degree, which is opposition, or squares, squaring malefic planets. For instance, if you have even, let's say, if you have Libra in the sixth, but you happen to have Moon there, it's still going to play out as a water quality, in you. So you handle that area emotionally, okay, even though it's in Libra. So, and especially if you have harder aspects, it's going to show us whether emotions get in the way of your routine or not. It's very important to understand this. Um, and water signs tend to develop a psychosomatic disorder where their emotions are connected closely to how they feeling. And then also, I mean, I'll get into the health part of it and how these people really think. I mean, Saturn in the sixth also has a tendency, regardless of your sign there, it still has this tendency of um, being moody and also coming up with diagnoses by themselves. Where, I mean, I'm like that. I have this placement and it's actually it's emphasized for people, like they get overly um their life becomes accentuated. They become accentuated on the routine, on health, become control freaks in that area. Their life has their to-do list, their schedule has to go a certain way. They can be disrupted, distracted. If they are, they fall off track and they get mad at people. They start to criticize them. Because remember, it's the sixth house, Virgo, judgment, criticism. So Saturn stars, which is you and sometimes employers. So since it's in the sixth house, it signifies employers as well. So um, I want you to just to like feel the energy of Saturn, which is disciplinarian, authority type, doesn't love you until you do your work or job correctly, which is your employer, doesn't give you money until you straighten that up, right? So in this way, in the sixth house, this also represents your employer. And the sign it is in, the sign, right, represents you, how you react. And also the 10th house will be the public image. Um, so for instance, if you have, let's say, Saturn, right, which represents your employer, but you have Cancer in the sixth, then you're very empathetic and you're probably sensitive to your employer who acts very tough. Saturn. So it's not always you, but it does in terms of other aspects of this placement of this house. We do see that it affects your thinking, it affects how you learn, it affects how you succeed. That's why it's very important, Saturn placement. It impacts how you succeed, whether if you become disciplined in whatever area your Saturn is placed, even if you don't want it, because sometimes it's just boring. It's a boring thing a lot of the time. Sixth house routine repeated. But that's how you learn, by actually becoming disciplined with yourself, with your thinking. If it's in the third house, you have to become disciplined in your thinking. Okay, if it's in the ninth house, you have to become disciplined about your values, your belief system in terms of spirituality. What religion do you have? What kind of value system do you have from which you're moving in life, right? And life situations will point you to this very thing, will literally put you on that path if you're not being resistant of discovering, becoming disciplined in that very area of your life wherever your Saturn is placed. And you'll see that it literally works just like that. But when you know where your Saturn is placed and you do your research, you have this ability to just start and not wait for things to happen in your life. You don't have to wait for things to happen badly, wrongly, negatively for you to start becoming disciplined in that area. It will take time, it will take hardships, it will take losses with these places, especially if your Saturn in whatever house is badly aspected. And by badly aspected, I mean it's opposing another malefic planet or even moon or sun. It will be sun opposite and square Saturn, or moon opposite or square Saturn. Very difficult placements, very difficult. And you should start working on them ASAP and understand them, not be scared of them, work with them, challenge yourself to become disciplined. But in this case, you are someone who is disciplined, who should become disciplined in their routine, but not to a point of obsession. Like, you are a hard worker, workaholic. These people are workaholics. They won't sleep until they get shit done. They're very disciplined, and they can be very hard on themselves. Saturn in the sixth, about work and finances. And these people are the real hustlers. These people are someone who you'll find, working, who started working early in their lives, because they had to. Or someone who is very responsible about the work they do. A lot of the times, these people, I don't see they necessarily love their work. It depends. It depends. But some people do. Some people love their work. Saturn in the sixth. But for me personally, what I've noticed, it's Venus in the sixth, loving your work more so. Not even moon is really bad for sixth house. It's obviously you need to work with it, right? But Saturn in the sixth don't like restriction, especially if it's badly aspected. He hates restriction. He wants to do things on their own. But a lot of the times, they will see that authority come into play and they stop them from doing what they want, especially if it's in opposition. Again, bad aspects. It feels as if you want to do something and then you can't because there's other things you didn't consider, or authorities you didn't consider, or just can't find a shortcut. You got to be disciplined wherever it's placed. So, psychosomatic disorders, like I said, it's where your emotions are connected to how you feel, especially Saturn in the sixth. Saturn represents bones. Sixth house is neurological because it's Virgo, it's Mercury, it's our mental health. Sometimes, if it's very badly aspected, and you have bad other indicators with Mercury opposite Neptune or Uranus, especially, or squaring Uranus, which gives bipolar disorders, or Moon opposite Pluto, Moon squaring Pluto, bipolar disorders. And gotta be very careful with this placement. But Saturn in the sixth, so emotions are very much so connected, and the bones, the muscles, right, and nervous system. It's Virgo, it's mental health, right? Like I said, you guys tend to be too hard on yourself. I mean, me too, including me, where you don't want to have fun until you just get everything right in your life. You don't like when people call you and disturb you in your life. You don't like that. You don't like when people come without asking, you know? And also, other people's emotional matters can come into play and disturb your routine. So you got to be aware of that. You got to become disciplined with yourself and other people too. Not only yourself, but yourself and other people. Because here's what's going to happen. If you're not disciplined, if you don't tell nobody what, like, if they distract you, disturb you, stealing your time. They're stealing your time, whereas you need to be doing other things. But if you have like Cancer in the sixth with Saturn, right? You can't say it, or Libra, you can't say it. Okay, and it becomes passive aggressive behavior. You start displaying, and then you start slowly resenting those people, who did that, but you'll never say it. And then internally it kills your creativity at work, and then you just don't want to do it. So that's what I'm feeling with this placement. And I personally had to learn how to um set boundaries. Setting boundaries is very important, but there's also a need to understand that you guys need to also relax every now and then. And depending on other indicators, you do need breaks from life, so be aware of that. But just on on a positive note, this does display a really good and workaholic spirit where very resilient, won't give up. But this placement literally has so much potential too. And I don't know exactly who out of celebrities has this placement, but I'm sure there are plenty because I heard when I was studying astrology with my not professor, but astrologer, right? He mentioned that the more hard aspects you have, the more likely it is, to end up in your favor. Why? Because there's so much tension, inner tension, and motivation to change. Where yes, they will struggle. Yes, they will go over, will be faced with many obstacles, many problems, and which they possibly cannot control, which will try to break their character with this placement. Your character identity will be challenged from people, employers. Everybody wants something from you. Everybody, you owe something to people. Like, you support them. Like, it's not that you have a good, disciplinarian presence around you where you actually inspire other people to be just like you, organized, but sometimes it's actually working against you when life gets overwhelming and you can't possibly sustain that flow, and then it turns into rigidity. It's too much earth here. Okay, earth will always like ambitious, right? But that ambition, because they're so stubborn, turns into rigidity. But Virgo is obviously depending on the sign, right? But Virgo, it's a Virgo's house, is a mutable sign, more adaptable, but Saturn is not. So be aware of authority who you're working for, with partners. Read the documents, especially if you have harder aspects with Neptune. Saturn and Neptune is going to give you that delusional mind where, especially, I mean, sixth house at work, where you won't see things for what they are, contracts, like sign up and then, oh my goodness, this is what I need to do now. And then you realize later on. So it's possible with this placement, but please let me know where your Saturn is placed. I definitely want to talk more about Saturn placements because this is one of your main ones. And Saturn will challenge you, like I said. It will try to break you by bringing up situations, people from the past as well. When a planets go retrograde, it will trigger you to see, are you disciplined enough not to repeat this mistake? Are you disciplined enough not to go back? And if you're not, but at the same time you're trying to achieve other successes, you'll see that the success that you're trying to achieve not going to come in because you repeated your mistake in the other area. So then the next opportunity of the transit comes in, is going to trigger you again until you learn your lesson. And in this way is like, if you're overlooking your health, this is a big indication not to, because that's your karma. That means that in the past life, you didn't really take care of yourself. Since the sixth house is a routine, that means that in the past life, you probably didn't even brush your teeth in the morning, showered, took medicine, exercised, read, whatever. Maybe you did drugs in the past life and now this is your karma. And it's not in a bad way. It's actually going to bless you. And this is how Saturn works. And if you guys are 29, 30, Saturn return, new cycle beginning because the Saturn is returning back to the same position at a time you were born in. That's where the Saturn was placed. And now, 30 years later, it's coming back to that position. So it usually gives that ease and ability to just handle that area so much easier, because throughout life, you will struggle. Wherever the Saturn is placed, it's going to give you a restriction. It's going to almost break you, right? A lot of challenges are going to come in, or some other challenges are going to come in, which, let's say, from second house or Pluto, eighth house, credits. And then why did it happen? Well, because you weren't disciplined in this area, in another area. That's how it works. I personally see it work on myself, on people. But yeah, please let me know if this video resonates with you. I would love to hear your thoughts, but definitely give me recommendations. I will be guys covering second house video very soon. It's going to be a very long one, a comprehensive one with all planets in the second house. And we're gonna, hey, you guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. I really, really, really appreciate it, and it definitely helps me and my channel to grow because I do it just for you guys to help you out. Because 5 years ago, I was one of those people who would, scroll through YouTube and try to find, I don't know, Mars in the ninth house. What does it mean? And I still do that. I still love to hear other people's interpretations and analysis, right? Because it's cool. So now I'm doing it. So please like this video if it resonates with you. I'll leave all the links down below so you can check them out. I have a bunch of stuff coming out, and I'll be more active on YouTube and TikTok because I did need to take a break. But I do really appreciate you guys. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.